Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Fran, and I just wanted to thank you this morning for joining me for Mental Health Monday. I want to give a few people some time to come on as we are preparing to share with you about some pretty cool, innovative things with regard to the field of psychology and mental health. I want to share this morning. Today, I'll be starting a special edition of Mental Health Monday in which I highlight African Americans, Black innovators in the field of mental health and psychology. I also will be discussing or sharing with you some resources, community resources that are Black owned, so we can be aware and support those businesses. Thank you. I see Donnie, Tiffany, Sonia, Alvin, hey, Gerald and Stephanie Thomas, Glendale, Pastor Whitfield. Thanks for joining me this morning. Okay, so as I stated, we're going to be talking about this for the month of February. We'll be looking at innovators in the field of psychology and mental health so that we can be educated on those people and also highlight various businesses or mental health agencies that are Black owned or Black run. So I think it's very important for us to acknowledge the progress that we have made in the field of mental health, particularly with regard to African American progress. So the first person that I want to share, I'm going to be sharing two people today. Thank you all so much. Please ensure that you are sharing the video as you're coming in. Thank you so much for joining me. It means so much that you are joining me this morning, that you're sharing the education that you're learning, and that you're sharing these videos. So please make sure that when you come in, you're sharing the video on your page. Thanks so much. All right, first person we're going to talk about this morning is Dr. Francis Sumner. Now, he's kind of special in that we share the same name. He is a male named Francis, but he is important as it concerns the history of mental health in the Black community, as he is called the father of Black psychology. He was the first African American to receive his PhD in psychology. So he's from Arkansas. He actually worked very hard to pursue his education. He went to Lincoln University, graduated magna cum laude with honors, later enrolled in Clark University, pursued a Bachelor of Arts in English. He went back to Lincoln and served as a graduate student and was mentored by Stanley Hall. He became an approved PhD candidate, but could not begin his doctoral dissertation because he was drafted to the Army during World War I. When he got back, he enrolled again into the doctoral program at Lincoln, and he produced his dissertation in 1920. It was entitled Psychoanalysis of Freud and Adler, and that particular dissertation was accepted. He published several articles during his time as a psychologist, as he was in his prime. He wanted to one of his main goals. Thank you. One of his main goals was understanding racial bias and supporting educational justice. He is credited as one of the founders of the psychology department at Howard University, where he chaired from 1928 until he died in 1954. So Francis Sumner is one of the founders of, known as the father of Black psychology. So he is one of those innovators, served on the board of Howard. Come on. So he really pushed understanding the mind, understanding who we are as people, why we do psychology. One of the main bases of psychology is to understand the way that people think, and helping people to understand that how their mental functioning impacts them. Another person this morning that I want to highlight is Dr. Inez Beverly Prosser. She was the first African American woman to receive her doctoral degree in psychology. Talk about empowering. She was actually born in Texas, and when she graduated from high school, she completed a teaching certification and was actually teaching in Texas in segregated school systems. She then went on to get her Bachelor of Arts in 1924 and her master's degree in educational psychology from the University of Colorado. She accepted faculty and administrative positions before deciding to pursue her doctorate. She went on to graduate from the University of Cincinnati with her PhD in educational psychology. She wrote her dissertation, The Non-Academic Development of Negro Children in Mixed and Segregated Schools, and that received a lot of acknowledgement. She had this research that revealed that Black students benefited more in segregated schools because they were more likely to receive the type of education that they needed, including affection, support, balanced curriculum versus integrated school, where they were likely to have problems adjusting academically, socially, and accepting their identity. She actually passed away in a car accident 1 year after having received her PhD. But during her career, she encouraged many Black students to pursue higher education, and her work was influential in the Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decision that later took place in 1954. So shout out to Dr. Inez Beverly Prosser, the first African-American female to receive her PhD in psychology. Excuse me for 1 second. All right. So I thought it very important to share this information on some of the innovators in the field of psychology and counseling so that we could have an understanding for this month, especially with this month being Black History Month. I thought it very important to share with the audience some of the people that have made a difference in the field of psychology that are African American. And also I wanted to use this month as an opportunity to empower African American community, Black community, to take care of their mental health. We have people that were innovators in this field. They pursued higher education. They sought to empower, they sought to educate people on the importance of our needs, our learning styles, things of that nature. So I wanted to highlight them as innovators in this field. So I want you to be mindful of doing the same. Make sure that during this month and throughout the year, not just because it's Black History Month, I think that we should be knowing our history and researching our backgrounds and those that made strides in various areas throughout the year. I think it's important. However, because it is Black History Month, I want to kind of make sure that I am acknowledging those that were ahead of me and kind of set the pace and set the tone and open the doors for us to even be aware of our mental health needs, the need to understand how our minds function and how that can impact the every area of our lives. So that being said, now I want to encourage you to research, find out who some of those people were in history that made differences in the field of psychology and mental health and counseling. I also want to share some resources with you about some Black-owned and African-American-owned resources for mental health in our community. I want to shout out, of course, Another Level Youth and Family Services here in the city of Newport News, who is providing intensive in-home and mental health skill building services. We also provide linkages in the community to other services that people may need, which is actually one of my roles here. I serve as a supervisor here, and I also serve as the community liaison, which simply means I reach out to try to help connect us to other resources so that we can provide quality services for those who need them. I also want to, I guess we'll go with the theme of Newport News today. I want to shout out Ms. Jackie Hill of Paramount Counseling in Newport News. She is doing a phenomenal job in this city with providing outpatient therapy. I also want to shout out Ms. Sherry Phaeton. She is an outpatient provider as well. Mr. Angelo Madison. He is not in Newport News. He's in Virginia Beach and Suffolk, but his name came to mind. So I also wanted to make sure that I highlight some male figures that are doing great things in the community within the field of counseling and psychology.